I can tell you it's beautiful to see you all. It's a different view from up here than from down there, you know. So it's fantastic, wonderful morning. And today we're just going to get right into it, okay? The topic, joy under the sun. And it's found in Ecclesiastes 8:15. And let's just read that together. It says, "Then I commended mirth, because a man hath no better thing under the sun than to eat and to drink and to be merry. For that shall abide with him of his labor the days of his life, which God giveth him under the sun." Bit of a mouthful, yeah? But we're going to try and break it down a little. First looking at what it means to eat, to drink, and to be merry. And then looking at what abiding with him actually, is talking about in the life which God giveth him under the sun. Some other scriptures that support this is because we're talking about Solomon. And who was Solomon? He was the wisest man, wisest king that ever lived. A man who pleased God because God gave him he had a wish. You know, God wanted to grant him a wish. And he asked for wisdom. And that was very pleasing to God because, you know, it wasn't a selfish ask for riches for himself and power over his enemies. And because of that, God gave him wisdom, and on top of that, he gave him wealth and riches that he didn't ask for. He even promised him long life if he followed him like his father David. So this was a very blessed king and wise king. And he did this experiment about human living. Yeah, what is it that, you know, humankind are involved in? What is it really about this earth? You know, and after looking at life from every angle, he left us with some profound observations in Ecclesiastes and in Proverbs. Well, it seems that with all this power and all the knowledge that he had, all the wisdom that he had, all this experimentation that he did, he arrived at one of his conclusions that all is vanity and vexation of spirit. It's a little surprising that somebody would, you know, arrive at that. But let's have a look at exactly what that means. Okay, the first thing is to understand, for better understanding, that the phrase "under the sun" appears many times in Ecclesiastes. Sometimes it says "under heaven." Okay, it's really talking about life on one level. Yeah, that's under the earth, life on earth, and that's life apart from God, and with no knowledge and no belief in the afterlife. So when we understand it that way, then okay, we can say yes, it makes sense. You know, that all is vanity and vexation of spirit. You know, Solomon looked at all this and he said, what is the point? What's the point in life? Yeah, what's the point in life if you work hard and somebody else gets all the credit? Yeah, what's the point in life if you accumulate money and wealth and your children, your spoiled children, just squander it? Yeah, after that, you know. What's the point in life if you try to do good and when you do that, evil people take advantage of you? And then in despair say, look, whether you're rich or you're poor, you know, whether you're good or you're evil, you all meet the same end, is everybody dies. So looking at it that way, you can understand as to why he came to that conclusion. But he came to some other conclusions as well. And what we want to have a look at this morning is just a few of those observations that he arrived at, okay? And then we'll switch back to this particular verse and break it down. And hopefully, from there, we can learn some of the things that he learned and maybe change our personal mindsets on certain things. Yeah? Is that okay? Yeah? Excellent. All right. Well, in Ecclesiastes 5, verse 10, it says, "He who loves silver will not be satisfied with silver, nor he who loves abundance with increase." This is also vanity. Do we believe that? Are we sure? Well, look, permit me to let's have this exercise. Let's imagine that today, each of you just won $20 million in a lottery. Okay, now think about it now. Just try to imagine, what would you do with it? Yeah? What would you buy? Yeah? Which neighborhood would you now be living? What clothes would you wear? For many people, what bags would you carry around? It's a good thought, isn't it? And everybody would like that. That would solve a lot of problems. It would make your life better, wouldn't it? Okay, well, now think about losing the entire $20 million completely within a few years. What do you think would happen? How would that happen? Could that happen? Okay. Now, honestly, put your hand up if you think and you can imagine that you could lose the $20 million within a few years. That you really can't handle the 20 million and you lose it within a few years. Be honest now. Just put your hand up. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, or 4 at the maximum. Okay? Isn't that interesting? Because statistics show that almost 70% of lottery winners lose their entire fortune within a few years. Some even go on to now go into further debt. 70%. Okay? But we don't think that's going to be us. Yeah? So there are many things that we don't really think about. But we have to let's take wisdom from somebody that is wise. So when he tells us that money doesn't fully satisfy, we've got to understand that. And if you look further, you'll find that these are the things that we don't actually think about. When we win or we come across a large sum of money like that, it comes with a lot of stress because we're not prepared for it. We can't handle it. And there's so many unexpected things. There's something that they even call the lottery curse. Because here you have, they win the lottery and their life is all messed up. Yeah? I'll share with you the ways in which it can be messed up. One sure thing is that it comes with a lot of stress. All of a sudden, people look at you differently. People have different expectations of you. You can lose family and friends from simple things. Oh, how much do we give them? I won 10 million. I'm going to give you 100,000. Man, is that what you think of me? Only 100,000? In my current circumstance, you lose a friend. Even between husband and wife, is either, I want to give 100,000 to my sister. And you say, what? You've got 6 sisters. What's going to happen to the money? Problem. Or even worse, husband and wife have been together for 30 years, and now they win the lottery, and all of a sudden, the wife feels, I've given this man my best years. He's not treating me well. Just you take 10 million, I take 10 million, go our separate ways. So lots of things that we don't think about. But judging from this experiment, the reality of life under the sun is that the more people acquire, the more they often desire. Yeah? We always want more and more. Okay? And that's the world's philosophy, more. Give me more. God's philosophy is enough. we will never lack any good thing, you know. And so money is a wonderful servant, but a terrible master. And without God, the appetite for more never ends. So we have to be very, and then look, there's so many examples that we have that, money does not satisfy. Anybody heard of Howard Hughes? Yeah, Howard Hughes. He, by the age of 45 or so, he was the richest man in the U.S., in America. And 20 years later, he was still the richest man. But by this time, he was living as a recluse, in dark, dingy hotel rooms. His beard was down to his waist. His nails were, 2 inches long. And he had an obsession with germs, so he died in such a desolate manner, And another example that comes to mind quickly is the John D. Rockefeller. I read that he was asked by a reporter that, look, how much money is enough? And he replied, just a little bit more. Okay. All right. So, when we look at that, we need to now check ourselves and say, oh, okay, if that's really the case, then should I be looking for money as a solution to my problems? Or should I faithfully be a good steward over what I have now? And instead of looking for millions, why don't I prepare myself to be somebody that can not just win millions, but keep, millions? In discipline and all different areas. Okay, let's quickly look at the second one. 4:8 says, there is one alone, without companion. He has neither son nor brother. Yet there's no end to all his labors, nor is his eye satisfied with riches. But he never asks, for whom do I toil and deprive myself of good? This also is vanity and a grave misfortune. Yeah, this kind of person is going to leave all his wealth to a stranger, and the stranger will show him exactly what to do with it, But if you're alone and, it's an observation that some people are accumulating possessions and they're neglecting relationships. And relationships matter. Yeah? Relationships matter more than recognition. So when you talk of fame and stuff, being famous is not the same as being loved. We know all the problems that famous actors and everything go through. They can't even keep relationships with all their fame because people see them differently than they really are. And that's difficult to maintain in a relationship. Being followed in these days of social media, being followed is not the same as being known, because you can have millions of followers and still have no friends. Yeah, they're followers, they're not your friends. And you can have thousands of contacts and still have nobody to call at midnight. When you really need help, who do you turn to? Who is that close to you? So think about that. And then Ecclesiastes actually says, I returned and saw under the sun that the race is not to the swift, nor the battle to the strong, nor bread to the wise, nor riches to men of understanding, nor favor to men of skill, but time and chance happen to them all. Hard work alone does not guarantee success. Because you can see, if the race is not to the swift, then who's winning it? If the battle is not to the strong, or bread to the wise, this is how life is. Life doesn't seem fair. And certainly life without God is not fair. Any life apart from God. And that's what Solomon is describing here. He's not talking about when you know Christ. Okay? Except the Lord build the house, they labor in vain who build it. Unless the Lord guards the city, the watchman stays awake in vain. Yeah? Yeah, hard work alone does not guarantee success, certainly. And we have biblical examples of that. Joseph, for example, with all his hard work, the fact that when it comes to administration and management, anywhere he went, he would do so well that they would put everything under him, put everything under his charge, and everything would blossom and do well. Whether it was in Potiphar's house, whether it was in the prison, he flourished. But even then, that didn't guarantee success. It was until God stepped in that he was able to receive any success at all. And Genesis 39:21 says, "But the Lord was with Joseph." So that's what we need to remember, that we need to, from this, learn that we need to work hard, but depend on God. Yeah, because life is not fair. It's not just the people that work hard that are successful. So that's learning and gaining some knowledge from Solomon's research that we can benefit from. Okay? So let's swing back to the initial verse that we were talking about. And we look at the words to eat and to drink and to be merry. Okay? So the first thing is, let's clarify that this is not promoting worldliness. Yeah? It's very different from other scriptures. They use that phrase, eat, drink, merry, in some other, chapters and in some other books. And in one of them, for example, to show that it's not this that it's talking about, is in Isaiah 22:12-13. And reading it quickly, it says, "Therefore in that day, the Lord God of hosts called you to weeping, to wailing, to shaving the head, and to wearing sackcloth. Instead, there is plenty of gaiety and gladness, killing of cattle and slaughtering of sheep, eating of meat and drinking of wine. Let us eat and drink, for tomorrow we may die." It is not that at all, because you can see that is, using a Bermudian term, is foolishness. Yeah. I'm not used to that. I always find it funny when I say that. So sorry. So it's not that at all. It's not gluttonous or anything, or hedonistic behavior at all. Instead, it's because there are other verses in Ecclesiastes, probably even clearer, like this, which say the same thing. Yeah, Ecclesiastes 5:18 says, "Here is what I have seen. It is good and fitting for one to eat and drink and to enjoy the good of all his labor in which he toils under the sun, all the days of his life which God gives him, for it is his heritage." Okay? So we're finding that, oh, wow, okay, it's a good thing. Eat and drink. Enjoy the good of all his labor. All right? Because it's a toil. We toil under the sun. Yeah? All the days of his life which God gives him. Just a quick aside, when we say we toil under the sun, when did that happen? Did God make us to toil under any sun? If you remember, in the Garden of Eden, yeah, Adam was made to just keep the Garden of Eden. And no rain fell then. Yeah, everything was growing by itself. Even it said that a mist would come from under the ground to water the grass, water the plants. So you didn't have to go watering anything. It was after we fell. I say we. After Adam fell, we're all in it. Yeah, Adam fell. Then it was pronounced that yes, you're now going to have to toil. So that's the world that we're in. That's what we are under the sun. But what we produce, our fruit, we should be able to enjoy it. Okay? And so this verse is telling us that every good gift, yeah, we've got that, and every perfect gift is from above. And so we're enjoying here to appreciate God's provision, okay? And to enjoy the fruit of honest labor. Okay? There's Ecclesiastes 3, 12 to 13. It's not actually, I don't have it as a slide there, but I'll read it to you because Solomon keeps repeating it, and I think this is even clearer. It says, I know that nothing is better for them than to rejoice and to do good in their lives. Okay? And also that every man should eat and drink and enjoy the good of all his labor. It is the gift of God. All right? So Psalm 127:2, it says, it is vain for you to rise up early, to sit up late, to eat the bread of sorrows, for so he gives his beloved sleep. And Ecclesiastes 3:1 now says, to everything there is a season and a time to every purpose under heaven. So he gives his beloved sleep. I mean, we're living in a time where there's been so many inventions and technological improvements that are there to make our life simpler, that are there to give us more time to do other things. And yet, we're busier and busier. I don't have my phone up here. Well, lately, maybe because I'm a grumpy older man. But I'm getting very irritated with my phone. You know, because with all the technology, the amount of distractions is too much. And we're all there, you know. It's beeping and bleeping every time. I'm not interested in what it's saying, but it's always trying to catch my attention, you know. You buy anything online, you want to subscribe, no subscribing. Don't want any news, I don't want any information. Yet, they come. You know, and you try to get it off. There's something that you can't get it off, you know. So it comes all the time. But the worst thing is that it's bleeping. Even when you turn the thing off, they find a way somehow, you know. So it really gets on my nerves. This is supposed to be a tool to help. But I think for many of us, you know, it says, you know, we are molded by the environment and we also mold the environment. What's happening now is that I think the environment is having its way with us, is molding us. People are different. People don't walk normally now. They walk like this. Yeah? We don't enjoy even occasions as much. Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm not looking at the women, but we can't enjoy an occasion where everything is a photo shoot. Pa, 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 pa. You're there for 2 hours, 1 hour is spent ta-ta, ta-ta, ta-ta. That's all. Sit down and enjoy this thing, you know. So our lives has changed a lot, you know. You know, not realizing that, look, God created seasons, yeah? He created seasons, you know, for us to work, created for us to rest. Yeah, it's not just, on the go, just, yeah, you know. So all this technology that we brandish about, yeah, it gets us distracted. And here's the worst thing. We may, like physically, get some rest, sleep at night, but mentally, we are not resting. And I think that's really going to affect us. I wonder what the next generation are going to be like. You know, the attention span, gone. Because everything, if you don't engage them within 30 seconds or 1 minute, they're off to something else. You know, so I don't know what it's going to look like, you know. But here we are, that Jesus never lived in a hurry. Isn't that a remarkable example? With all his responsibilities, with how highly sought after he was, a healer, a miracle worker. Yeah? You never find him in a hurry, never panicked. You know? Look at some scriptures just to show that. Remember the example of Lazarus? In John 11:6. So when he heard that Lazarus was sick, he stayed where he was 2 more days. You couldn't hurry him. Lazarus, he was very close to Lazarus, you know, but he still stayed because he was very much aware of timing and seasons. Okay? He exemplified purposeful living, doing things with intention. Yeah. The second one, this is John 7:2-8. It says, his brothers therefore said to him, depart from here and go into Judea, that your disciples also may see the works that you are doing. Well, no one does anything in secret while he himself seeks to be known openly. If you do these things, show yourself to the world. For even his brothers did not believe in him. Then Jesus said to them, my time has not yet come, but your time is always ready. Yeah? So he had two scriptures showing that he didn't just go anyhow. He took his time, because, it seems that we seem to be so worried and anxious and in a hurry for things. Coming to church this morning, yeah, in my haste, and everything, I got to the car, put my phone, where I normally put it, and then as I'm about to die, I said, where's my phone? And it took another 5 minutes running into the house. Counting here, who's got my phone? Where did I leave my phone? Okay, please call my phone and everything. And the phone was in the car. And I did what I normally do, but something switched off. Probably all these distractions from my telephone and everything. Now I can't. But yeah, we seem to be in a hurry all the time. But we should learn from this to be more intentional in what we do. Yeah? God that created time and controls time, yeah, he knows how to make things happen. So as long as we commit things into his hand, yeah, it will work well. Even we have the example, Jesus actually said he does the things that he sees his Father do. Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. So we can learn from that and make sure that in our actions, let's seek God first, yeah, and know what God would have us do before we do it, so that we don't run ahead and in haste and do what we ought not to do. Okay? Worry has never solved tomorrow. It only steals today. And I just told this collage, yeah, of Jesus, very colorful, just show the different things, that he did in his time and in his purpose. You see the middle one there where he's healing. And then see with the children, yeah, laughing and joyful. Yeah, the wedding at Cana turning water into wine. And look at the time he spent on the top right. Is it right for you? Yeah, it's still right. Okay. He's praying by himself. He will take time out to do that. And look at him resting in the middle of a storm. Yeah. In fact, that picture, I'm not a seafarer, I'm not so much in the water type of person, water sports or anything like that. But that really knocked it home to me, because those waters are pretty rough. And to be able to sleep through that shows a different level of peace. Peace and power. And then you see him here, just walking times alone. So it's talking about rest, that we need to take time to rest as well. We need to do things purposefully. Okay? So that was just a quick one there. Now it then comes to joy, because in this scripture that we've been reading, it talks about, I commended mirth. Yeah? And then it says to eat, drink, and to be merry. Yeah? So we're talking about not just happiness, but the key word there being joy. And Nehemiah 8:13, affirms that, look, the joy of the Lord is your strength. And see, joy is not merely an emotion, but an act of obedience. And joy is warfare. Yeah? Is real warfare. And you can see that picture there of us worshiping. Yeah? When you're really engaged in worship and you're joyful with it, even as we're commanded to rejoice always, no matter the circumstances. And why joy is important is biblical joy is defined as a deep, enduring sense of gladness and contentment rooted in a relationship with God, independent of external circumstances. So it differs from happiness, Because happiness is based on circumstances. You know, I'm happy, because things are going well. When things go bad, I'm not happy. That's for sure, and you make that known. But joy, it persists even in trials, even when you're suffering, because it rests on the unchanging character of God. Yeah? Through the joy of salvation. Yeah? It doesn't matter what's happening around you, whether you're still in pain or you think you're in body, but when you get saved, that joy is very different. Now, the enemy wants us to be exhausted, bitter, angry, and joyless people, because when we're that, we're not strong spiritually. Yeah, that's when we'll come to church. This is the day that the Lord has made. When we should be shouting. Yeah. So let's learn from that. The joy of the Lord is our strength. And so we need to, really keep that in mind. And the best example that keeps coming to mind, which is really fantastic, is in the Bible, we know of Paul and Silas. Yeah, remember they were unjustly beaten and thrown into prison, and while they're in the prison, they were singing and praising God. I mean, that is joy, to the extent that, as we all know, the chains and the doors flew open in a second, like an earthquake. That's how the Bible puts it, and all the chains. And not just them, all the other prisoners. So it's good to hang around such people because they got the benefit as well, But then what is interesting to note is the centurions or the jailer that was in charge of them, okay? When he saw everything, all the doors open, was going to kill himself, because that's how it is with the Romans. If you're given charge over prisoners and they escape, your life is gone. You're going to pay the price. So he was about to kill himself, and Paul said, no, we're all here, And it was beautiful to read that this centurion and his family gave their lives to God. And the scripture actually puts in there that he called them into his house, and he fed them, and it says there was joy in his heart, because he had been saved, he and his household. So you see how that joy produced joy as well? Yeah. I wonder if we have joy like that. Or let me correct it. As children of God, we have the joy. Because in the presence of God, there's fullness of joy. At the right hand, pleasures forevermore. We have it. But do we express it? Do we apply it? That's the question we want to ask ourselves. Yeah? Or are we affected, too much by outside circumstances and appearances? Yeah? Okay, so we go again. Remember I said we're looking at this verse, that this portion that says that shall abide with him. Because we're talking of eat and drink and to be merry, for that shall abide with him of his labor the days of his life. So that shall abide with him, what? Is what remains at the end. What will he carry with him? Reminding us that, as in Ecclesiastes, let's look at it up here. Yeah? It says, as he came forth of his mother's womb, naked shall he return. Yeah? So, a reminder that we don't carry anything with us. As we came, so we go. Yeah? At funerals, nobody's, when they're eulogizing somebody, they don't say, he had 15 cars and 6 laptops. No. They talk about his character. They talk about, what kind of person he was. And they talk of more meaningful things. So that's what he's talking about. That shall abide with you. What are you going to take? Yeah, it's not your car, it's not your bank account, but it's your peace, your gratitude, your memories, your relationship with God. So isn't that what we should be cultivating? Rather than getting caught up with material things. Yeah? And then the last aspect we want to look at in this verse is when it talks about which God giveth him. So we've looked at eating to drinking and be merry, okay? Be appreciative of what God has given you. What shall abide with him? We know what is important. He should enjoy good of his labor all the days of his life, okay? Which God giveth him. So there's an acknowledgement here that it's God that gives life. Yeah? It is a gift of God, okay? But some people never really receive what God has given, yeah? They eat, they're not satisfied, okay? They celebrate, but remain empty, yeah? And why do you think that is? I think it's because gratitude is missing. We don't receive with thanks, because that's how we receive. God is giving us, but are we really receiving it? Yeah? Or are we dissatisfied, or we're too restless? We're looking for the next thing, or we're not even appreciative of what we have now. Okay? 1 Timothy 6 talks about godliness and contentment. Yeah? It says godliness with contentment is great gain. Yeah? And contentment actually means, in simple terms, is look, I appreciate today while trusting God for tomorrow. Yeah? The topical encyclopedia actually has a definition. It says contentment is a state of satisfaction and peace, often associated with a sense of sufficiency and gratitude for what one has, rather than a constant yearning for more. In the Christian context, contentment is deeply rooted in faith and trust in God's provision and sovereignty. So let's actually check ourselves. Are we really receiving with thanks what God has given us already? Or are we just saying, no, this is not enough, we want more. This is not enough, we want more. Give me just a little bit more. Yeah? So maybe we should change our mindset. Receive with thanks what we have today, And one enemy of contentment, which is important to note, is comparison. Yeah? Especially in these days of social media. Yeah? You are happy with your car until somebody posts their own car. It becomes a problem. You're happy with your vacation until somebody says, oh, they've just showed their lavish, they've went to Maldives, All of a sudden, yours pales in comparison, So understand that comparison is a thief. Yeah? You don't want to compare. I'll tell you one of my favorite proverbs is in Proverbs 30:8-9. It's not up there, so I'll read it. It says, remove far from me vanity and lies. Give me neither poverty nor riches. Feed me with food convenient for me, lest I be full and deny thee and say, who is the Lord? Or lest I be poor and steal and take the name of God in vain. Yeah? Give me neither poverty nor riches. Feed me with food convenient for me. That should be our outlook. Yeah? What we can handle, what is best for us. And God knows what is best for us. So it's good to aspire, and press on, but always put it in God's hands. And knowing that God that knows what is best for us, will give us that. You got to trust him. So part of the contentment for each day is acknowledge today, thank God, accept today, and trust him for tomorrow. So that we're not feeding the flesh. We're not thinking of more. I want more. Because we will never be satisfied. We'll never be content. Galatians 6:4 says, let every man prove his own work. Because God never asks us to compete with anybody. Yeah? Just say, run your own race. Okay? And at this point, I think I should share that 1st of December last year was pretty crazy time for me because I got the news that my twin brother passed away, and devastating. But I thank God for my lovely wife, and she was with me there all the time. She, provides the comfort and support, and for my children, my family, my siblings, their family, my church family, all the prayers and everything. It was absolutely fantastic. So that really helped. But I tell you what, I couldn't say surprised, but what I expected to be anguish and agony and unbearable, God actually ministered to me in a very different way. Yeah. All he put in my mind and all my attention was focused on the fact that he just flushed things in my mind that, he knew and planned for this, and he did this for my benefit, he did that for my benefit. He made sure that in our last couple of years, my brother and I spent so much time together. We talked a lot, we traveled a lot, we did a lot. We did a project, a film project, even before he left. And God was showing me all of that, which was extremely comforting. So rather than mourning, I was full of gratitude. And the more I was full of gratitude, the more he was showing me different things he had done. So I was seeing more. So I realized that, when you're grateful, you're able to see things that you would normally miss. And all of that was just ministered to me. I've never felt so much loved during this kind of period. Because I'm looking at, you mean the Almighty God that did all of this, that the whole universes and everything, to the minute detail, is working things out for me. Awesome. Awesome. I should do a shout out for Grief Share as well, because I took advantage of that. Lovely 13 weeks sharing, and that really helped in the grieving process, because you got to express your grief. You got to express it's part of life. It's natural, and they really helped me with that. So I'm recommending anybody, the resource is there. You don't even have to wait for anything to happen. Just get an understanding what grief is about, but I highly recommend it. But yes, that's my testimony that, wow, the Lord truly is my shepherd, I shall not want. I shall not lack any good thing. That even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I shall fear no evil. Because God will comfort me. He will find a way. And he's giving me better understanding of appreciating things. Of being grateful, of gratitude. And that's what I want to kind of remind us today, that we should focus on appreciating what God has done for us. So when we talk about joy under the sun, we're not talking of just this fleeting environment and just happiness and where you're laughing and joking. No, we want to focus on this deep joy, biblical joy, where regardless of the circumstance, you know that God has your back. God has your back. You're not small in his sight. You're precious in his sight, And we have to have that in the forefront, of our mind, so that our joy is full. Let's be more fervent in what we do. And the little things we can do to improve that is actually, I've got some practical applications, on how to apply and live this message, One is practice gratitude daily, Count your blessings intentionally. Pastor Joe and Pastor Eversley, they've mentioned that in their sermons before. We've heard that over again. So I'm only pressing the point that changes your attitude. Because you will see, believe me, when you show more gratitude, you will see more things to be grateful for, that you didn't realize. And sometimes you feel a little bit guilty that, wow, God is doing all this for me, and I never noticed. And I'm just marching my big head up and down, not realizing that everything has been done for me. So that's important. Celebrate small victories. Yeah? Don't wait for big, giant miracles. Yeah? Celebrate that, And then rest without guilt. Yeah? God rested on the seventh day. Yeah? Our body were created to rest. It's not go, go, go. Every night we have to sleep. Try going a few days without any sleep. Yeah? So rest without guilt. Yeah? Don't rush and, take time to rest. Okay? Stop comparing yourselves because your journey is unique. And most importantly, enjoy lawful blessings. Lawful be things like enjoy your marriage, enjoy your spouse, spend time with them. Alone time. It's not all about the children. Make sure you make time for your partner. Okay? Enjoy your family, your kids, your grandkids. Yeah? Enjoy your food. Healthy food, Do it in moderation, but enjoy. Hey, it's not a good feeling if you're sitting in front of a buffet or a feast and you have no appetite. It's not a small thing. So it's a gift of God as well that once you have the ability, He also gives you the ability to enjoy the good things He has given. Friendships are important. Oh, wow. Friendships are important. Cultivate the friendship. Yeah? He that has friends must show himself friendly. So if you don't have many friends, maybe you're not friendly enough. So you can do something about that. But cultivate those friendships. These are support. So people that can support you and good friends too. Cultivate peace. Yeah? Live peaceably. Yeah, you don't need to be fighting all the time. All these things are gifts of God. And so that's what I wanted us to have a look at this morning. And also to just bear in mind some prayer points. Yeah? Because as we reflect on this during the week, maybe we can pray for ourselves and pray for one another. Yeah? For the Lord to deliver us from endless striving, yeah, to restore joy to our spirits, yeah, and to remove anxiety and making comparisons from our lives, yeah, to teach us to balance between labor and rest, and let gratitude become our lifestyle. Okay? All right, so I'll end with just praying that our blessings will not become burdens, okay? That our prosperity will come with peace. That our labor will produce joy. Our homes will carry laughter. And our souls will rest in God. In the mighty name of Jesus Christ, amen. God bless. Have a wonderful day.